Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Spirituality. Oh, now we get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Rebecca L. Norrington, and I am the world's only, I'm going to say only, I might be off, I am the only happiness specialist. Actually, I think I am the only labeled, self-labeled happiness specialist in the world. That's right. I'm going to throw it out even into the universe. This show, Reality Spirituality, has evolved over, gee whiz, what am I working on? Close to my 9th year. Speaking, having guests on. And the last year it's evolved into just me choosing a topic based on what I've been practicing during the week. And how the hell can I even have the gall, the arrogance to crown myself a happiness specialist? That's actually a really good question. The answer to that question is when I was younger, because I get new listeners every week. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing with your friends. Thank you for I appreciate, because I'm here just to share what I've learned. And when I was younger, I wanted two things. I wanted to live to my potential. Whatever that looked like, I had no idea. And I wanted to be happy. And I'm going to have to throw this out, because isn't that what most people are looking for? I'm going to say everybody. Isn't that what everybody is looking for? Happiness, the feeling, the sense of feeling of internal peace, the feeling of balance, of relaxation, but just to feel good. I want to feel good. Movies about it, there's songs about it, I hear people talking about it, there's been research on it. This happiness is something that I was seeking for what seems forever. And I thought, just like, most people, I thought I was programmed to believe that happiness came when something was achieved, or happiness came when I found my Mr. Right, or happiness came when I had a specific title. And I'm here to tell, happiness came when I met my goals. But there are countless examples of people that supposedly have everything. You know the people I'm talking about. I don't need to name them, do I? The people that have everything. And there's still that sense, and it's a sense of dissatisfaction, because we're either vibrating feeling satisfied or dissatisfied. Let me throw out my definition of happiness to you. My definition of happiness is being able to feel, to be peaceful, regardless of what happens and regardless of what doesn't happen. It is the moment-by-moment journey, people. It is when real life hits. How are you going to feel? How are you going to vibrate? And happiness, like any other it is a skill. Happiness is a skill like any other skill. You got a writing skill, you got a writing skill, speaking skill, skill of a doctor, skill of a surgeon. I mean, can you imagine how skilled a brain surgeon has to be? Scratch that, any surgeon. The skill of gardening is a skill. I mean, even being a waiter is a skill. There is a skill involved. And the reason why I know that is because I serve breakfast at the senior center, and it takes a lot of skill. And when I first started working and serving breakfast, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But now I know how to balance 4 plates. So back to the story, back to the topic. Happiness is a practice skill. And like any other skill, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. The more you practice, you don't have to think about it. It becomes your identity. It's just like learning how to drive a stick shift. I remember the first time I learned how to drive a stick shift, on hills, by the way. And it was difficult, but after a while, people that know how to drive stick shifts, you don't even think about it. So the more you practice, the easier it becomes. The more you practice, you're instantly moving toward knowing what subtracts from happiness, because there's a whole list of things that subtract from happiness. I'm talking about in our everyday life. Eliminating the things that subtract from happiness and adding and practicing the things that add to happiness. It's so simple. Not really. It's simple to say, but it is more than a notion to practice in every moment. And the only reason why I practice in every single moment and why I am conscious in every single moment is because I do want to vibrate satisfaction. I want to have a vibration of peace. I want and desire to feel content during whatever storm the universe throws at me. And that, in a nutshell, is about what I talk about on the show. Now, I have actually this isn't new, but I've taught the importance of happiness, the truth about happiness classes when I was in California for a little over 3 years. And so in every class, I hand out this homework assignment. And the funny thing about this homework assignment is, in my class, you don't have to do the homework if you're not inspired to do it. So it really takes a commitment. It takes a commitment of wanting to feel different, wanting to vibrate differently than you have been. And you all know what I'm talking about, this life, this ups and downs, this roller coaster of life. My favorite saying, my favorite quote from Abraham is, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. And what I talk about on the show is about the journey. Let me read to you my first questionnaire that I hand out to all of my happiness students, and I've never done this on the air before. So thank goodness for you people that have listened to me more than once. But this is a questionnaire that I hand out to all of my first-time students, and I'm going to read it to you right now. I know we got to get to the topic, but we will get to the topic. You know, happiness can be talked about. It never ends. So here we go. These are the questions that I ask my students. First day of class. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is happiness in your life? Now, that's a really important question because I've received a lot of 9 to 10, 9 to 10. Listen, I asked for a number, so what happens is I really want you to be clear. Some people say 6, some people say 7, some people say 8, some people say 5. So I want you to really get clear how important is happiness in your life. And if you say 9 to 10, that means that's 9 to 10. If you ask me, the answer is always 10. It's always 10 because there's nothing there. It's 10 over anything else. Happiness, the ability to feel peaceful, is the most important thing in my life. That's why all of the study, all the experiences, all the bumps on the head, that's why I can teach it, because it's number one for me. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, prioritizing happiness is a big start. The next question is, what's your definition of happiness? I know everybody has a different definition, and I gave you my definition. So the interesting thing is, what is your definition of happiness? Is it being in, according to some people, you know, how you read things on social media, and some people say, oh, it's, you know, having my dream job, having financial freedom, having a relationship, all of those things. But I'm telling you, all of those things are fleeting. All of those things change. What if you don't get your dream job? What if you don't have your relationship? What if you don't have the best of health? What then? You're not going to be happy? So that's just a question. The other question I ask is, what or who is subtracting from your happiness today? The answer, the correct answer to that question is, does anybody know the correct answer? Hello? Who or what is subtracting from your happiness today? The answer is always that person, that wonderful, wonderful person in the mirror. That's it. The other question that's asked is, are you as happy when you're faced with life's inevitable challenges? See, I don't want to know who you are when the sun is shining. Anybody can be happy. I just got my dream job. I found somebody I love. I'm traveling. Anybody can be happy under those circumstances. I want to know who you are when you're challenged by life's challenges. That's who you are. So that's a question, which is either a yes or a no. You know how I like to paint everybody into a corner. I don't like a lot of wiggle room. I don't want a lot of explanations. I usually either yes or no. So the question, are you as happy when you're faced with life's inevitable challenges? The answer is either yes or no. And if it's no, that means, hey, there's some things I can practice to be happy when I'm faced with life's challenges that are, it's like the sun coming up the next day, it's going to happen. The other yes or no questions, I love these questions. Hold on a second. I'm going to have to pat myself on the back. I'm actually going to pat myself on my own back. I can reach that far. Okay, there we go. I get a couple of pats. Answer either yes or no. Can other people hurt your feelings? Can other people offend you? Can other people disappoint you? Do you blame other people for how you feel? Do you blame your circumstances for how you feel? Now, I love it when I ask a question, I say answer either yes or no, and people answer sometimes. Listen, yes or no, the sometimes means yes. The sometimes, do you blame other people for do you blame your circumstances for how you feel? The answer is yes. There is no room for sometimes. It's yes. I am a hard, strict teacher when it comes to this and the only reason why is because I want you to be clear. The clearer you are about self, the more you know about self, the more you study self, the more you're going to have answers, the more you're going to find your answers. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know why if you don't dig deep, really dig deep, and I'm telling you, I've dug deep, and sometimes digging deep isn't very pretty. Sometimes digging deep doesn't feel good, but it's really about the digging deep. So these answers to yes or no questions, can other people hurt your feelings? Can other people offend you? Can other people disappoint you? Do you blame other people for how you feel? Do you blame your circumstances for how you feel? Can either be answered yes or no. I have to say I took that out of Judge Judy. Judge Judy taught me that one. Either yes or no. Now, today's show, so that's an example of what I hand out on the first day of the happiness classes. And I have a few people in the queue. Hey! And if you want to speak, to me, or if you have a question, just press the number 1. Let's get to today's topic. Hold on a second. Press the number 1. Let me just get to today's topic really quick. And today's topic is, okay, hold on a second. I have a number 1. I got to go right to the caller. Hello, caller. Welcome to Reality Spirituality.
Hello, Reality Spirituality host.
And what is your first name? Is this Nathan?
This is good guess. Nathan in the house.
Well, hello,
I'm so curious
Nathan.
What the topic is? Yeah.
What did you say? The topic is what?
Yeah, I'm curious what the topic is for today.
Okay, so I'm going to put you back on mute if that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'll bring you back on after I finish with the topic.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. So this is the topic of the day. The topic of the day is, what is the story? Believing the storyline. Having a story about anything. You know, it's so interesting because the ego, you know, I always talk about there's 2 entities. There is the universe. Some people call it God. Some people call it spirit. Some people call it higher self. Whatever you want to call it, I'm good with whatever name you want to use. I say the universe. And so there are two voices, two entities that I can tap into at any time. And it's the universal voice, it's the universal entity, and it's also that entity of the ego. You know the ego, you know that person, you know that entity, the one that tries to make me feel bad as long as possible. The entity of the ego is the one with the stories. Now, let me be a little bit more specific. If there is a story behind any situation, and that story includes, I know why. Oh, I know why this happened. And in fact, you know what? I'm gonna bring Nathan back on because yesterday we were talking about, hi Nathan, Nathan, you're back on. Yesterday we were talking about following our intuition. And the intuition is just either you're following your intuition, either you're guided by your intuition, or maybe you're sometimes guided by the intuition. But I practice being guided by the intuition every single moment. And yesterday was a really great example of that because I planned on, quote unquote, washing my hair yesterday. And it is a big ordeal washing this curly hair in this Oregon weather. I'm telling you, it is a production. It is at least an hour, maybe a little bit more if I decide to roll it and sit under the dryer. If I sit under the dryer, it's a 2-hour project. 2 hours. And I usually sit under the dryer. It's at least 2 hours. It's this Oregon weather anyway. I digress. And I planned on washing my hair the day before, even that morning when I got up. I turned the music on. I lit the candles, ready to wash my hair. But for some reason, intuition, inspiration wasn't there to wash my hair. In fact, it felt it felt like I don't want to wash my hair. And I followed that intuition, and I did not wash my hair. Well, 20 minutes later, I get a call from Nathan. And we had a long talk. It was over an hour and a half talk. And if I had washed my hair, I would have never received that phone call. And one of the things that I'm going to let you say it, because you made a really good point yesterday about the story about not washing my hair because Nathan's going to call. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, because we talked about how there seems to be a greater plan at work, and if you had washed your hair and kind of didn't go with your advice, we would have missed the conversation. So the way it all kind of worked out was for everyone's betterment. But the funny part is, if you knew that the reason you weren't washing your hair is because you were having a conversation with me, or even if you knew it was going to be an hour and a half conversation with me, that might not have led you to not wash your hair. It's like knowing every part of the story, how it's going to unfold, isn't necessary. Knowing why, even why we're following the vibes isn't necessary. Just the fact that we're following the vibes, and then it leads to the next thing, and it leads to the next thing.
Exactly. And see, that's the topic of today's show, is about stories, and the only stories that come up are all created, all orchestrated, all thought out by the ego. And the story is a program. And see, then we're coming into, so not believing the story, it really is very tricky, because not having a story, not only not having a story, but not believing the story or not buying into the story, not focusing on the story, throws another wrench into the works, which is being okay with uncertainty. I don't know the story. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were talking about, well, they know why A, B, or C happened because they know why something happened, because that's how the universe works. The universe, there are no stories in the universe. There are, and the stories are man-made. There are no stories. There is order to the universe. There is order, but to be able to surrender and be okay with uncertainty and trust the order of the universe eliminates all stories. Actually, not having stories is freeing, is gives you less to do. And having less to do means you're lighter. Feeling lighter means more peace. Peace is lightness. So it's really very tricky to recognize that, and to even want not to have a story. I don't want a story. I'm not going to believe the story. I know the story is all the ego. I know the story is all a program. Letting go of all the stories of I know why. Now, the only thing that you said, Nathan, which is true, what you do know is that everything that unfolds is for our betterment, serves us, regardless of how it feels or how it looks. That can be very, very trying and very, very tricky, especially, listen, I look out and if I see a child, if I see a child and they're in danger, I'm definitely going to help out. But, you read these stories and you see these stories and some kid is suffering or a woman is suffering, and, how am I supposed to be okay with that? It's still a challenge for me. But letting go of the stories and trusting that everything is in order. Everything is in order. And knowing that the story is just a program. And when you let go of the program and you recognize the program, it just means more freedom. Please comment on that, Mr. Nathan.
Well, I think that's so huge. What hit me a lot when you said being okay with uncertainty, because for me the stories, they build a false sense of certainty. They build a sense of, oh, I'm doing this because this is going to happen, or I'm going to this job interview because I know I'm going to get the job, and then when I get the job, I'm going to move to this city. When I move to the city, I'm going to make new friends. When I make new, and it's like you see the stories get a little out of hand, and it hasn't even happened yet. So really getting in touch with the vibe, I think, is a huge level of trust that if I really stick to my vibe, the story is going to unfold in the best way for me possible, instead of me like writing it with my mind and disregarding the vibe. So I think that takes a little bit of trust, and actually maybe not even trust.
No, it takes a lot of trust, not a little bit of trust. It takes full on, 100% in every cell of your body trust.
Well, what do you think about this? Because what do you think about this? Because I mean, let's be real. Like, we've been at the game for a minute or two, practicing this stuff. So after a while, it's like it always turns out. Following the vibe seems to always turn out well, and listening to the stories seems to usually not turn out so well. So at this point, it's like maybe I don't even have to trust as much. I just remember that which ways have worked over the last few months, over the last few years, and maybe that helps me trust it more. Just like we always say, practice, and it just does get easier to practice. It does get easier to lift the 10-pound weight if you've been lifting 8-pound weights for a year, 9-pound weights for a year. Now you're lifting 10 pounds, it's not so heavy.
You brought up a really, really good point, and that's why this happiness, this peace, there is a formula to it. There is a formula to it, and what you're talking about is having evidence of the truth, having evidence of trusting, having evidence. And the more evidence that you have, like you said, the more evidence that you have, the more, I can go back on the evidence in my life. Listen, if I sat up here and wrote or wanted to eliminate everything that happened in my life in the past, I wouldn't have planned it this way, but the evidence shows, like I was in court, the evidence will show that everything that happened, everything that unfolded, whether how I felt during the storm, was perfectly planned, and it always took me to another place of consciousness, always took me to another place of understanding, another place of now I have this choices for action. It always took me to another place. So you're talking about evidence, and the more evidence, the more ability you have to trust. Perfect. I love that. Thank you.
And thank you. and I want to say too, because I got evidence on the prosecution side and the defendant side. You know what I'm saying? Like when I called you yesterday and I told you I was really in my head and I was having a lot of thoughts, I felt like one of the things I wanted to do was send out a couple texting people, voicing basically my problems with them. And
I hope I wasn't one of them, but if it was, okay.
Luckily these days you're my salvation. I don't try to attack you anymore because I have enough evidence. That never goes well. So I like that word, evidence. I have a lot of evidence that proves when I am really in my head and I know my vibe is off and I start trying to communicate from that place and trying to solve problems and thinking I know what the source of the issue is, I have evidence that proves that it creates more drama, it creates more confusion, people kind of look at me wise and otherwise. It's not good. So I have evidence on both sides, and I really had to remember that, because when I was going through those feelings yesterday, it can really override paying attention to those good vibes.
Well, let me say this, and what you're really talking about is the topic today. You got all those thoughts or whatever you were going through were all stories, right? Weren't they all stories?
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. Stories about what I thought was going on, stories about what I was going to say, stories, yeah, and I didn't even know if they were true. The only thing is they felt like they could be true. And that's why they confused me. But yeah, stories, you're right.
Well, let me say this. The stories can all be eliminated, because the stories is a lifetime of the ego just really being deep rooted. So I don't believe any stories. I don't even care if they're good stories. I don't believe any stories. If there is a word and now I have 3 words, and now I have a sentence, and now I'm coming up with a paragraph, and now I have a whole story, I have a chapter, now I'm writing a book. I mean, it is story, the words clinging together. I'm telling you, you gotta just, you don't have to do anything, audience, you don't have to do anything. But I've let go of every single story. And in fact, if I find myself, now I can have a conscious story, I know, this is a conscious, meaning that, okay, I'm going to entertain this story. I'm not going to resist the story, but I know what's up with the story, that none of the stories, whether good or bad or whatever, that I'm not into any stories anymore, because stories are the opposite of peace. Even the story of, look at how conscious I am, or even the story of, I'm evolving. No. I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to even, I did pat myself on the back earlier, but come on. I'm telling you, to isolate the story and to recognize the story is part of a powerful behavior and a skill. That's a story. I have a story about my mother-in-law. I have a story about my health. I have a story about money. I have a story about friends. I have a story about social media. Oh, boy. I want my head empty of all stories.
That was pretty powerful, I think, what you said about even the story of I'm growing, every day it's more conscious. Even releasing that story, when you said that, I felt a lightness come over me. And I felt like the more and more you release these stories, I'm looking around like, well, I don't have much to really think about. I remember talking to you. Yeah, talking to you, and we said, coming to the epiphany that we don't really know anything. There's so little that we know, if anything at all. And the more and more we said that, and more and more we said the thoughts aren't true, stories aren't true, I'm like, well, what do we even have to talk about? There's nothing to do around here.
Now I'm getting chills, because now you brought up another topic, and it is letting go of thinking that you know anything. Who wants to let go of thinking they know? I know something. I got to know something. Now, listen, you might know, if you're a doctor, you got to know how to cut open a patient. You might know, if you're an editor, you know how to string the noun with the pronoun and the verb and all that all that shit. Yeah, okay, that's knowing. I'm talking about real knowing, but why something's happening, looking at someone else. No, the stories are, I'm telling you, I said, empty my head, and I'm going to take this right. I mean, empty head, I don't know anything. I don't want to know. I used to think I wanted to know. My ego wants to know, but I don't know anything. I have absolutely no knowing. And letting go of thinking I know. Oh, I know if I make this connection, then that's going to happen. Oh, I know that if I write this, then that's going to. No, I don't know jack bananas.
Well, I don't know anything either. Thanks a lot. What I do know is I have class in a little bit, and I do know I really enjoyed talking to you this morning. Thank you for having me on your show today.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for stopping by. And after this, I'm gonna go into what's in the news, because I usually don't talk about what's in the news, but I'm gonna talk about Robert Kraft, which is the owner of the Patriots, and I'm gonna talk about Khloe Kardashian. That's my next topic. It's gonna be all spirituality, and thank you so much, Nathan, for calling in. I love you.
Love you too. Come on, in the news. Bye.
In the news. All right, I love you. Bye. So listen to this, audience. I don't know if we even covered all of the stories thing. I just want to make sure I'm looking at my notes, letting go of thinking that the reason why. Okay, and the other thing is the storyline is a program. I want you to really know that all the stories are programmed. I mean, if you weren't programmed, you wouldn't have any stories in your head. It's the programming that makes us suffer. Now, let me scratch that. I usually don't talk about what's in the news. But I have to talk about what's in the news today, because one of the things I have to say, it affected me. It did shift my vibration a little bit. Now, it was not Khloe Kardashian. No, that did not shift my vibration, but it was Robert Kraft. And this is the point I want to make. When you see these people that are out in public, or forget the people that are in public, even say your coworkers, I'm letting you know that you never know somebody. Here we go with the story, thinking we know. You never know somebody unless you are in their skin. You just don't know. You can't know unless you're in their skin. I'm not in anybody else's skin but mine. Let me start with Khloe Kardashian, because the big news is, let's see what happened. Her younger sister's best friend was caught with Khloe Kardashian's, I can't believe I'm saying this, baby daddy. Baby daddy, the father of her child. I can't believe, I wonder if that's in the dictionary now, baby daddy, baby mama, baby mommy. Anyway, I digress. Now, of course, you've got two different sides. Some people are feeling sorry for her. Some people say that's just what you get. It's karma, blah, blah, blah. This is my point, bringing it all back to reality, spirituality. This word cheating, I get this cheating, he cheated on me, she cheated on me, all this kind of crap. What is really happening is Khloe Kardashian is experiencing exactly what she needs to experience to grow. Period. End of sentence. Everybody is experiencing whatever they're going through to grow. That is the reason why. The boyfriend didn't do anything to her. The sister's best friend didn't do anything to her. It is a universal plan. It is a universal unfolding. Everything is unfolding the way it's supposed to unfold. And we all are so different. I say this, I haven't said it in a long time, but we are all as different as our fingerprints. We are all different, and we all have specific things to experience to get to another level of growth, to get to another level of unfolding, of expansion. All of us, every single one of us, has a unique role. You can't look out into the animal kingdom. Every single animal is unique in itself. Every single one, even if they're part of a tribe. Monkey, the lions, they're all different. And so the same with us. So the reason why all of this stuff is happening, here we go with the stories. Everybody's got a story as to why it happened. There's a story about why it happened. There's a story, I'm telling you, the reason why anything happens has nothing to do with anybody else. It's not the boyfriend. It's not the sister's best friend. It's not the reality show. It's because it's their journey. It's her journey. The boyfriend has a separate journey. The best friend has we're all on our own specific journey. That's why I can't look out and say, oh, I know why they went through it. Because I don't know. Knowing is another story. I know it's a hit to the ego. I know the ego still wants to be employed. But it's time to give the ego a termination notice. It's time to let the ego know that, sorry, ego, you ain't in charge no mo. You ain't in charge no mo. Now, let's go to the story that affected me. I'm going to say a tick. A tick, 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 tick. But a tick is still a tick. You either hate them or you love them. The New England Patriots, my favorite football team. And I know I'm not supposed to have a preference because preferences always subtract from happiness, and I'm working on it. But I really like them. The smart, excellence, track record, I like them. Winners, I like them. Now, the owner of the New England Patriots was caught, and there were two counts of what was it? It was prostitution. And they're investigating, and so he went into a day spa in Florida, and he went in twice, not once but twice, to get sexual services. Now, the reason why this affected me is because I had an here we go. I thought I knew his character. Now, there is nothing wrong with, I'm sorry, but I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody going to a prostitute. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Now, there is a problem with this human trafficking. Now, I'm not going to be down with that. But again, everything is in order. There's a reason for all of it. But if a guy wants to pay a prostitute, go for it. Who the hell cares? But the spa, it was a spa in Florida, and it had been under surveillance for human trafficking. That's another story. And so now he's all intertwined with it because apparently these women that were offering services or getting paid to offer services were being human trafficked, whatever. They were not held against their will. They were brought over there to be prostitutes and held against their will. Okay. This is why it was a disappointment for me, because I thought, and I should know better, of course I'm not knowing anything, that to look at somebody from afar and to come up with, I think that they are a certain character. And in reality, I don't know anybody, unless I'm in their skin. Anybody can sit up here and project this image of I don't even need the word. You know what I'm talking about. And it taught me a good lesson. Do I still love the English? Yes, I still do. And my feelings are, especially if somebody isn't connected or doesn't practice or have who knows? Scratch that, because I don't know what he practices. Scratch that. But this is a storm in somebody's life that I didn't know, but I thought I knew. Does that make sense? A storm in someone's life that I thought at least I thought I knew. And going all the way back to today's topic, I don't know shit about anybody else. Absolutely, especially if I've never met them. But you're going to hear the stories and the stories and the stories about everybody else. And everybody can tell a story, whip up a story about everybody else. And it just reminds me to come all the way back and say, I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, ego. I don't know. I'm still discovering things about myself that I didn't know. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I discovered some things I didn't know. You know what I thought? When I was younger, I told the story that I used to battle, and come on, I was an argumentative, I was a bitch on wheels, I was my way the highway, I was judgmental, I was all those things. And I knew what was wrong with everybody else. And I would go into battle, I would go into an argument or whatever situation, and I had a hammer in my hand. And I would hit I would go in swinging, mass destruction. I dropped bombs all over the place. I mean, you can imagine, you can feel me. That's who I used to be. But I thought that was me. I called it being a warrior. I thought that was me. I'm not going to be taken advantage of. Bash, bash, bash. I thought that was who I was. And guess what I discovered over all of these years and wanting to find the peace and having the commitment and having the priority of being happy and wanting to be peaceful? Guess who I discovered I was? Guess what I discovered was my real weapon? I have a weapon now. And guess what it is? I had to let go of the hammer because the hammer was getting too heavy, and the hammer, quite frankly, didn't feel good, and the hammer didn't jive with my vibe of peace. You can't swing a hammer and be peaceful. Well, actually, you know what? Scratch that. You can swing a hammer and be peaceful, but what I was doing had nothing to do with peace. No. But my weapon today is, and the only weapon I have that I can pick up and use, is a feather. My weapon is a feather. And when I practice using my feather in any situation, in any experience, when I pull out that feather, it is the most powerful weapon that I have. So even thinking that I knew who I was, I knew what type of person. I'm a person that has a feather for a weapon. And if I use anything other than a feather, I can feel the discord in my soul. Woo! Did I cover the topic today? Did I cover the topic? Okay, this is the question I want to ask you. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you with this question. Here we go. And I want to ask you, my dear audience, when is the last time that you've changed one of your core beliefs, or one of your beliefs that's really, really deep, when is the last time you've changed a belief? And I'm asking that question for a reason. I'm asking that question because self-examination and being open to change, even the core beliefs, even the beliefs that are all dug all in the soul, all flowing through your veins, even those core beliefs, being open to hearing or doing or having a different perspective means that you're open to change, you're open to growth, you're open to evolving. Be open to changing all your beliefs. I'm just saying, scratch that. Be open to change. How's that? That's better said. Be open to change. Woo! What a great, great, great time I had with all of you. Thank you for listening to Reality Spirituality. I want to let you know that I am available. I am available for weekend retreats, for your retreats, for speeches, for talks, for classes, for workshops. Contact me at info@RebeccaNorrington.com. That's RebeccaNorrington.com, RebeccaNorrington.com. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RLNorrington. My Instagram handle is RealitySpirituality. I do have some videos on YouTube. You can search Rebecca Norrington or Reality Spirituality. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. And my second book, Program for Unhappiness, will be out sometime this year. I don't know when. That's the job of the universe. And until next time, until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are a physical extension of the universe. You're always evolving. You're always changing. You're always growing. Love is patient, and love is kind. Be patient, and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the show. And I will chat with you next week and have a conscious, open, and you don't know nothing week. Reality Spirituality.
Yeah. Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's the new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some